Charlotte Amalie, the capital of the U.S. Virgin Islands on the island of St. Thomas, has a layered history marked by colonization, conflict, natural disasters, and cultural transformation. Originally inhabited by the Siboney, Arawak, and Carib peoples, the island's earliest history was shaped by native tribes who fished, farmed, and traded among the Caribbean islands long before European contact. In 1493, Christopher Columbus sighted the Virgin Islands during his second voyage to the New World, setting the stage for centuries of European competition and conquest. In 1666, the Danish West India Company officially established a settlement on St. Thomas, and by 1672, Denmark had claimed it as a colony. The town of Charlotte Amalie was named in honor of Queen Charlotte Amalie of Denmark. It quickly grew into a vital port city thanks to its deep natural harbor, which attracted merchants and pirates. However, much of the city's rise was underpinned by the transatlantic slave trade. The Danes developed plantations across St. Thomas using the forced labor of thousands of enslaved Africans. The slave trade became one of the darkest chapters in the city's history and left a legacy that still shapes the cultural and social landscape of the Virgin Islands today. One of the first tragic events that defined Charlotte Amalie's path was the Great Slave Revolt of 1733 on the nearby island of St. John, which deeply affected all of the Danish West Indies, including St. Thomas. Although it occurred on another island, the fear of rebellion spread throughout Charlotte Amalie. Danish authorities imposed harsher restrictions on enslaved people in the capital, increasing tensions and igniting decades of unrest. This revolt signaled the growing resistance to Danish rule and slavery, laying the groundwork for future uprisings and reforms. A second tragedy struck in 1772 when a massive hurricane hit St. Thomas, devastating Charlotte Amalie's fragile colonial infrastructure. Homes, warehouses, and trading ships were destroyed. The storm killed scores of people and disrupted the island's thriving trade network. Recovery took years and cost the Danish government heavily. The harbor town's importance as a port and center of commerce suffered a major setback that reshaped its economic direction for decades. In 1701, during the Napoleonic Wars, the British seized control of the Danish West Indies, including Charlotte Amalie, in a strategic move to prevent France from using the islands. Although returned to Denmark in 1802, this brief British occupation caused economic uncertainty and political instability. A second British occupation occurred from 1807 to 1815. Disrupting trade and fueling local resentment. This back-and-forth control stifled development and created deep-seated tension between the colonizers and the local population, who had no political voice in these decisions. Another major tragedy occurred in 1804 when a catastrophic fire destroyed large portions of Charlotte Amalie. The city's tightly packed wooden buildings and lack of a proper firefighting infrastructure allowed flames to spread quickly. Hundreds of people were displaced, and the economic center of the town was lost. This fire was one of the worst in Virgin Islands history and forced the Danes to rethink their approach to urban planning, although rebuilding efforts took decades. By 1848, after growing unrest and pressure from both enslaved people and abolitionists, the Danish government finally abolished slavery in the Virgin Islands. The decision followed a peaceful yet powerful protest movement that culminated in Governor Peter von Scholten declaring the end of slavery. While this was a landmark achievement, the aftermath was tragic in its own way. Freed slaves were left without land, resources, or rights, and many were coerced into entering exploitative labor contracts. The social and economic inequality that followed persisted for generations. In 1867, another devastating hurricane struck Charlotte Amalie, followed closely by a powerful earthquake and tsunami that caused widespread damage and loss of life. The harbor filled with wreckage, and much of the rebuilt infrastructure from earlier disasters was once again destroyed. This double disaster prompted serious conversations in Denmark about the value of holding on to the colony, given its vulnerability to natural catastrophes. The final major tragedy before American acquisition was the economic collapse of the sugar industry in the late 1800s. After slavery was abolished and global sugar prices plummeted, St. Thomas's plantation economy fell apart. Charlotte Amalie, once bustling with trade, fell into economic stagnation. Poverty increased, and people began emigrating in search of better opportunities. This decline made the Virgin Islands less valuable to Denmark, setting the stage for the sale of the islands to the United States in 1917. Under American rule, Charlotte Amalie transitioned slowly into a new identity. one focused more on tourism and naval strategy than plantation production. But the scars of slavery, colonization, natural disasters, and economic collapse remained etched in the city's history, shaping its unique resilience and cultural identity. The people who live in Charlotte Amalie are primarily of Afro-Caribbean descent, descendants of enslaved Africans brought to the island during Danish colonization. The community is diverse, with influences from African, European, and American cultures. The culture is deeply rooted in music, family, storytelling, and strong community bonds. Residents celebrate Carnival with vibrant parades, music, and traditional foods, and they hold on to traditions passed down through generations. Christianity is the dominant religion, with denominations like Anglican, Methodist, Baptist, and Catholic widely practiced. There are also smaller communities practicing Judaism, Islam, and Rastafarianism, all coexisting in relative harmony. The economy of Charlotte Amalie centers largely on tourism, government services, and retail. Cruise ship tourism is a major source of income, with the port being one of the busiest in the Caribbean. Many residents work in tourism-related jobs such as hotel staff, tour guides, retail clerks, and restaurant workers. Government employment is another large sector, with jobs in education, healthcare, and administration. The average hourly wage ranges from $9 to $12 depending on the sector. Skilled trades and managerial roles can earn more, but many workers live paycheck to paycheck due to the high cost of living. Groceries in Charlotte Amalie are expensive compared to mainland U.S. cities because most goods are imported. A gallon of milk can cost around $6 to $7 USD, while a loaf of bread might be $4. Fresh produce, especially fruits and vegetables, can be costly depending on seasonal availability. Many residents rely on local markets and bulk buying to manage food expenses. Eating out at restaurants is also pricier, with casual meals starting around $15 to $20 US. Transportation within Charlotte Amalie is available through several methods. Many locals use safaris, which are open-air taxis that follow designated routes and charge a low fare, typically $1 to $2 US per ride. These are the most affordable public transport option. Taxis are widely available and often used by tourists, although rates can be high without meter regulation. Rental cars are another option, and visitors must drive on the left side of the road. Walking is common in the downtown area, especially near the waterfront and shopping districts. Ferries are used for inter-island travel between St. Thomas, St. John, and Water Island. The cuisine of Charlotte Amalie blends African, Caribbean, and European influences. One must-try dish is fungi and saltfish, a national staple made of cornmeal and okra served with salted cod and vegetables. Another local favorite is callaloo soup, a hearty stew made with leafy greens, okra, onions, and meat or seafood. Pates, deep-fried turnovers filled with beef, chicken, or saltfish, are popular street food items. Tourists should also try conch fritters, a savory snack made with tenderized conch meat mixed with spices and fried into bite-sized pieces. The official language spoken in Charlotte Amalie is English, although locals often speak in Virgin Islands Creole, a dialect that reflects African and European linguistic influences. Spanish is also spoken by some immigrant communities. The year-round weather is warm and tropical, with average daytime temperatures ranging between 77 degrees Fahrenheit and 88 degrees Fahrenheit, 25 degrees Celsius to 31 degrees Celsius. The rainy season runs from September to November, and the island is occasionally affected by hurricanes during the Atlantic hurricane season. For tourists, visiting Charlotte Amalie can vary in cost depending on the time of year and travel style. On average, a budget traveler might spend $150 to $200 US per day, including lodging, meals, and transportation. Mid-range visitors can expect to spend between $250 and $350 US per day, while luxury travelers may spend upwards of $500 US daily. Cruises offer more affordable packages for those visiting only for the day. Accommodations range from small guest houses to high-end resorts, with many located near the harbor or up in the hills. Charlotte Amalie is full of unique surprises that make it one of the most fascinating places in the Caribbean. For example, one fun fact is that the city is home to the second oldest synagogue in the Western Hemisphere. The St. Thomas Synagogue, built in 1833, features sand floors, which symbolize the Jewish ancestors who had to worship in secret. Another is that Main Street, also known as Dronningens Gade, was built with bricks used as ballast in Danish trading ships. Those same bricks now pave the heart of the shopping district. A third fun fact is that Charlotte Amalie is one of the few U.S. cities where people drive on the left side of the road, a remnant of its Danish and British colonial past. Fourth, it has a free port status, meaning visitors can buy goods duty-free, one of the reasons it's a shopper's paradise. And fifth, the island hosts the largest carnival celebration in the U.S. Virgin Islands, drawing visitors from around the world with music, food, and parades. Among the many must-see attractions is Fort Christian, the oldest standing structure in the U.S. Virgin Islands, offering historical insight into the island's Danish colonial past. Blackbeard's Castle, a watchtower built in 1679, is surrounded by pirate legends and offers a panoramic view of the harbor. The 99 steps, built by the Danes using ballast bricks, are a historical landmark and a popular photo stop. Emancipation Garden is a peaceful public space that commemorates the abolition of slavery in 1848. The sky ride to Paradise Point gives visitors stunning views of the harbor and is one of the best ways to experience the city's beauty from above. As for bonus information, Charlotte Amalie has hosted numerous celebrities over the years. Oprah Winfrey has visited the island, and Denzel Washington is known to vacation in the U.S. Virgin Islands. Cruise ships often bring stars from the entertainment industry who make quick stops in the capital. Locals tell of the time when actor Morgan Freeman was spotted dining at a waterfront restaurant, chatting casually with staff and patrons. Another story involves a local restaurant owner who once served Beyoncé and Jay-Z during a quiet visit to the island. Charlotte Amalie is also rich in myths and legends. One of the most talked about is the story of Bluebeard's Castle, said to be the home of the pirate Bluebeard, who allegedly built the tower to keep watch for enemies and for treasure hunters. Another myth claims that hidden tunnels run beneath the old Danish buildings, used for smuggling during the pirate era, though no one has confirmed their existence. The stories continue to fuel curiosity among locals and tourists alike. Locals like Miss Lydia, a market vendor who's worked on Main Street for over 40 years, recall how Charlotte Amalie has changed over the decades. She tells of quieter times before the big cruise ships, when islanders knew every neighbor and children played in the alleys near Fort Christian. Meanwhile, a retired tour guide named Elijah remembers being part of the crew that helped restore Blackbeard's Castle in the 1970s, taking pride in preserving the island's history for future generations. Charlotte Amalie is more than just a beautiful port city. It's a place where history, culture, legend, and everyday life blend together in a truly unforgettable way. Would you walk the same cobblestone streets where pirates once plotted, revolutionaries once rose, and traditions were born that still shape the island today? Hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, and share this story with fellow travelers who crave unforgettable journeys. Stay tuned for more unique travel stories from the most fascinating places around the world.